What's up, guys? It's Sharp here with the Kicked Out at 2 AEW Dynamite review for February 11th, 2021. I'm joined here with my buddies Quags and Chris. How you boys doing?
Good. What's up?
Surviving the weather?
Ready to talk about wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old wrestling.
All right, let's just hop right into it. Show is live from Daly's Place per usual. All right, first match we had was Adam Page and Matt Hardy defeating Hybrid 2 in about 7, which is just an awful name, in about 7 minutes. 7 minutes with the twist of fate. I'm going to talk about like the aftermatch, and bear with me because there was a lot. Matt Hardy praised Page after the match. Page brought out the Jaguars mascot with the contract that Page had swapped out and revealed that Matt Hardy had actually signed a contract for a match at Revolution. In some convoluted fashion, they said they agreed that whoever wins will get the loser's first quarter earnings. Then the mascot revealed himself to be Isaiah Cassidy and attacked Page. And then Page took a whooping from H2, Cassidy, Matt Hardy until the Dark Order came out to save him. I'm going to start with you, Quags. What did you think about the match and the aftermath?
Led by Johnny Hungies, the Dark Order was, and they came out there. I thought I'm going to say a couple really nice things first. So I love Hangman Page. I thought this was a good showcase. They really, just like this podcast, they started off hot. Like the intro was still up when Hybrid came over and started beating on Hardy and Hangman. I like how Hangman was like, didn't seem pissed off for the whole match. And I was kind of like, wouldn't he be more pissed about signing that contract? And lo and behold, that wasn't just a schmacking. That was actually a good storyline. I thought TH2 did a lot of good like tag team stuff, like subtle cheating and like tagging out, blind tags and all of that. I enjoyed that. Good match. Obviously, like the right people won. I kind of like that twist and Hangman not being just a doofus and actually playing Hardy, playing on his hubris. Yes. My one question is, did Hardy know that the contract was fake? And so he got Isaiah Kennedy to dress in the mascot costume so that he could ambush Hangman? That was my only kayfabe complaint. But I liked it all. I thought it was pretty fun. It was like very wrestling. Didn't take itself too seriously. The Q1 earnings money match is a little bit goofy, but that's all right.
Stipulation, baby. Chris?
I actually am a fan of the stipulation. That's like kind of just wrestling in a nutshell a little bit. It has to be a kind of a play on like of what's going on and stuff. I'll eat my words. Last week I was complaining. I'm like, here's Adam Page gonna look like an idiot, but I'm like, that's kind of like what Quags was saying, a nice like good twist. You knew it was coming, but a good twist. And yeah, I was really confused about the mascot. Like it was the private party guy, and I'm like, wait a minute. If he knows that it's the weird it's the other contract, why did he come out and showboat? And I was just like very confused. I was like, they gotta just like this is what they have. They really need to clean up some of the times their act. And like even during the match too, like I'll even say this isn't like obviously it was the Matt Hardy Adam Page show and TH2 was just there. They're great in the ring, but like that's really it. They don't really have more substance behind them. They were sloppy at times though. Like there was one moment where they're just walking around. I'm like, what are they doing? But they're usually good. So it's like you get those occasional sometimes and go and stuff like that. But I actually do think as more as these storylines play out, I think people will enjoy this slow build of the Dark Order and Hangman kind of like organically working out. Like I think that's what they're going to like see kind of going from week to week.
I said Isaiah Kennedy. Sorry, Isaiah Cassidy. My bad.
So I was like, does he know? But Matt Hardy doesn't know. So Isaiah like beat the guy up backstage and was like, I'm going to foil his plan when he thinks he's foiling Matt Hardy's plan. But it is refreshing that the face is actually outsmarting the heel. Yes. I agree. The match was kind of sloppy, but I do like the aspect of the match that Matt Hardy isn't really doing that great in the match, and Adam Page is the one just dominating, and then he comes in and hits like the twist of fate at the end.
Yeah, that's good storytelling.
I will say, and this is going to sound kind of harsh, I did like the Dark Order stuff at the end. I know it's great what they're doing with -1, but I don't know if he should be on television this often. I think if you're a casual viewer and you turn on there's a child, you're kind of like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, for a minute, that was my reaction. I was like, who is like still on the stage? It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Yeah,
like it's tough because obviously we all know
Right.
like what's going on and stuff. It's a difficult situation, right? And you just want to take care of the family and everything. But like, yeah, also you know that they're putting out a
It
product
just
for them.
seems like something maybe you keep on dark.
Yeah, which they
So,
highlighted that a lot, which wasn't a problem. But yeah, I mean, truth be told, like not even just, and this is what you will see throughout the show. You haven't noticed like all the family stuff that goes on, and we'll get more into that. But like, have you noticed like everyone's brother's family? Like, it's just everyone's there. I'm not even worried about like that part. I'm worried about more about like I didn't know Seidel had a brother. Like,
yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that.
Yeah.
All right. So then backstage, Alex Marvez interviewed the Inner Circle. Santana Ortiz hyped up the match. Jericho kind of said MJF and Sammy were both to blame, but at the end of the day, Sammy's dead to him. I thought it was a good promo. I thought it was a good segment. What'd you guys think, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. Like anytime they build homegrown guys, I'm always a big fan of.
Yeah, this is the opposite of a promo we'll talk about later. I'm building suspense here, where, okay, nailed your points, push 2 stories forward, and it wasn't confusing.
Yes. Absolutely. No, I agree with that. It's explained a lot. All right, so Rio returned after a long absence because of COVID having to be in Japan. She defeated Serena Deeb in about 15 minutes with a roll-up to advance in the Eliminator tournament. I thought this was a great match. I will say there are times, and I don't want to say because she's so small, but certain moves that Rio does with like forearms and stuff, I'm like, God, that wouldn't hurt like a freaking ladybug. Like, and meanwhile, Serena Deeb is also kind of a smaller, more petite woman, but the things she does like make sense to me in like the wrestling context. She's not doing these like crazy like strikes where they're like blowing the person away. But overall, I thought it was a really, really good match. I think AEW's women's division is its weak point. I think it's been getting a lot better recently these last few weeks. What do you think, Chris?
I agree. This is finally a good women's match. Like we just like got one like during this week. Like, so you have this story of this tournament that's probably going through. They need more women that could really just go in the ring. Like I know I was saying last week about they need characters, which they absolutely need to, but they need people that could really go and not like kind of fumble around and not look like kind of like a secondhand like show here. They do great. My only slight is that like we're talking about it like during the show, but like just give like a little bit of a story. Like you just said that Rio just came back out of like a while ago. You could have easily just said like, oh, okay, Rio's trying to prove herself. She's been gone a while, that she's like the first champ, still top.
Yeah, or do like a video package or something.
Yeah. A simple 2-minute video package. And Serena Deeb is like a pro's pro, and you could highlight that she's the champ. I'm going to show them a double. Like it's just like these are ideas they're coming up with like literally 2 minutes in, but it's just like, no, here's 2 women going at it, and then that's it. It's just again, they need more story and characters to sink our teeth into.
Yeah, so I mean, the little recap they did before, I actually love the idea of, oh, there's this women's tournament that's international. It's all around the world. Like there's all these matches going on, but way more effective than showing some highlights from this one and that one would be to show a 1-minute vignette from one of the wrestlers and then have that person build as they go. Or Britt Baker, like I think her character is very funny. Like I know they've given her a lot of time in the past, but if you're doing this tournament, why not give her a minute to talk about how great she is or whatever?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this match itself was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Really believable. Love the injury angle. They worked it the whole time. Like didn't forget about it. Or screw that up. They need to stop saying that Riho is 98 pounds. Like, okay, we got, they say it. Yeah, we get it. We get it.
Yeah, and I get that that's what like something you do in like sports is you talk about like.
I mean, that's her shtick though, right? Like that was the reason why she was champ in the first place, is because they told that easy
I think they
story
see
of like
it as
she's
a
tiny.
positive that she's overcoming people, but I think
like that's what
to
you
me
need.
it kind of comes across as a negative. Like I think
they say it like so, like they say it like every 2 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
so but I really liked it. I kind of wanted Serena Deeb to win, but that's okay. Good. I mean, she doesn't need to, and I don't know what the sign situation is or the title, having the NWA title, but yeah, good for Riho. Great match. Really enjoyed it.
All right, well, here's a big time segment with Shaq and Jade Cargill playing basketball. I'll just say, I just thought this was bizarre. It was just them like casually shooting hoops. How is this building up to a match? What do you think?
Pass. Yeah, let's pass on this, on the match. Yeah, pass.
I'm actually a big fan of Jade. Like, we talk about like having characters, women, like she's easily a star, like that you have to build around. But I will say this though, is that they're building this match. Like, who the hell is like Red Velvet? Like, I have no idea who she is. And like, I saw that both of them, if you put them like side by side, I'm like, okay, if there's any sort of chance, like Jade's also like a gargantuan. She looks jacked. I'm like, and you're telling me this Red Velvet person is like, oh, she's snappy. She'll put up a fight. I'm like, no, this makes no sense. You'll kill her.
Well, I can tell a good like underdog story.
I can't even believe that underdog story. Do you see how Jack Jade is? And then I just see Red Velvet. She's like, yeah, I'm snappy. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Oh boy, whatever. Yeah, my notes just have Shaq ... Sure.
It wasn't even like an intense thing. It was just them like shooting like elbow
it's
jumpers.
like if you're gonna show a vignette or like a video, like
Kevin Durant bank shots.
Yeah, no. I was like, whoa, the finesse. I'm like, they're not playing basketball. Like, I get it, Shaq, but like we already know shit. Like everyone knows Shaq.
Yeah.
All right, then we had Orange Cassidy beating Luther in like a 2-minute squash match with the Superman punch. What do you think, Quag?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's because honestly, I only religiously started watching recently, but I didn't understand like why this was necessary. But always like to see Orange Cassidy. I do love him. So if you're gonna do it to keep him in our consciousness or whatever, like might as well have a 3-minute match.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of random stuff. Just happy that Orange Cassidy squashed a guy like Luther, which I'm like, that's okay. And on to the next, I guess.
No, it was, I mean, I like a good squash, but I just don't think Serpentico and Luther should be on national television personally. But all right, next we had Taz in the ring with Brian Cage and Hook. He said that brought up that Hobbs and Starks weren't there due to weather issues. Sting came out. Taz goaded him to putting down the bat. Sting started laying into him, and eventually they turned the tables, and Cage left him lying with a power bomb. What'd you think, Wags?
That was a huge bump. So shout out Sting. I mean, he looked okay, but he hit the mat hard. I mean, either maybe they just sold it really well, but also Brian Cage. You look at that guy; he's a freak, man. I like this infinitely more than I liked putting Darby in the bag and like driving away. So I'll give it that. I thought it was cool. It was well done. It made me interested to see what is to come.
What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, I think the story was the bump was just supposed to be the shock factor, as in like everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a cinematic match. We'll see what they can do with Sting. And then he just gets flatlined with the power bomb by this giant muscle human being. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, okay. It did flirt with the line a little bit about like how like the hero like comes in and then it's 1 against 3. And then Taz just is like, oh, you got a bat, whatever. He chucks the bat. And I'm like, I get it. Like you want to be commendable, but at the same time, you don't want to kind of,
you don't want to be dumb.
Yeah. It's just like throws the bat. I'm just like, okay. And he's old too. So like, it kind of did make sense. Like, I'm kind of happy. Like, yeah, all right, Sting is not going to be like a Superman here and beat 3 of these guys. But like, also you're flirting with that line.
Yeah. I had a bunch of thoughts on this. First of all, I like that unlike WWE, who doesn't acknowledge things or makes fake reasons why things happen, they just straight up were like, they weren't here because of the weather. I think that's just not treating your fans like idiots is a good thing. Which also, why didn't Darby interfere? Was it because he couldn't be there to the weather, or because they dragged? Still dragging him around.
Still getting dragged.
Hobbs and Starks are still dragging him around. And fucking like,
you're cracking up in the back.
Yeah. But I mean, Taz on the mic is always good. I actually love this segment. I think maybe having Sting's first physical interaction and with him getting his ass kicked, maybe have him a couple weeks beat them up before they get some heat on him. But I don't know, like you said, Christopher, just the shock factor of everyone kind of saying, why is he in this company if he can't really wrestle? He can't really take any bumps. And then he takes a freaking power bomb, which looked very safe. Like you said, Quags, it was hard, but like a solid flat back bump.
Yeah.
And but just I will say, I did see some people saying like he shouldn't be doing this. The same people that were saying like, why are they even signing him because he can't do anything? It's like, what do you want?
It's just complaining. I
actually thought the segment was great. I really enjoyed it. I think it's also after weeks and weeks of Sting coming out to address Taz's group and like no one walking out, we finally got some action. So I think it was just kind of finally something happened.
Yeah, it was relieving.
I mean, it makes sense in story too, right? That he's like, screw this. Like, I am gonna like beat these guys up. I still got it. Like he almost goads himself into it a little bit.
I just thought the whole beatdown and whatnot, it wasn't like incredible, but I thought it looked good. I thought his throwing good punches. Like I thought the guy with Hook was choking him with the bat. I thought it looked good.
Agree.
All right. So then we had Kingston quickly cut a promo backstage about the match later in the night. Any thoughts?
He's great on the mic. No, always enjoy when he's hearing him, but yeah, this is hype.
I would like him to get in a meaningful feud just to cut promos almost. Like, and maybe that means he's someone's manager, but yeah.
I almost would like him to be more of a manager that only wrestles occasionally, but he's top 3 people in that company on the mic. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So then Alex Cortez found Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and Michael Nakazawa at a school. Kenny lectured the kids about how great he was, how he like sold a ton of subscriptions to New Japan World with his match with Jericho. And then Kenny had to go, and the kids like punching Nakazawa in the dick. And then I'll start with this one. I thought this was funny, but at the same time, I'm like, it's like a head scratcher where I'm like, is this top guy stuff? With all the comedy we have, like, should the world champion be doing this? What do you think, Chris?
I thought it was funny, very over the top. I was cracking up when Quags was texting me about it. Yeah, I will say, have you ever guys seen that that Amazon Prime show, The Boys?
No, I've heard it's excellent though.
Yeah, very good. Highly recommend it. So this gave me vibes of like, so one of the main guys of like The Boys is Homelander, who plays just a douchey Superman. And Kenny Omega kind of gave me off like that vibe, as in like he's just kissing babies, and then he'll go to his marketing campaign and just be like, "Oh, what demographic do we hit?" It's kind of like that vibe. So I enjoyed that, as in like, okay, he's just playing off that. But it again, they're flirting with the line a lot of like, I'm just watching this and I'm just like, he's literally in a like, as in like, I understand what's going on, but he's just in a classroom with a bunch of kindergartners. Like, what is going on?
Well, it seems like this combined with the golf thing is they're kind of like throwing a lot of stuff at the wall. Like, okay, what like kind of thing is Kenny doing? Is he like, because this reminded me of like a political campaign or something. Like he's like, like market it. Like, I mean, I guess in a way, like trying to get a demographic is sort of like running a campaign or whatever. But that's kind of what it reminded me of. So if that kind of thing continues, like what Kenny like walking a grandma across the street but then like leaves her in the median or something, like exactly. If that would be funny. I mean, I could see a path for it, but it doesn't quite have a home yet. At the same time, it wasn't long enough where I was like, okay, like, and also it's so funny to be reading like Killing the Business. So good.
All right. Then the Young Bucks beat Santana and Ortiz to retain their tag team titles in about 13 minutes with an inside cradle. Then after the match, Inner Circle attacked. Jericho put the Walls of Jericho on one of the Bucks, and MJF put the Salt of the Earth arm breaker. And until the Good Brothers, who were casually watching backstage, finally came out to make the save. And then Jericho randomly got in one of the Jackson's dad's face to go along with the family member.
Man.
Story. But he shoved them. What do you think, Chris?
It's a family reunion. It's just every second it just says different family members. Now, I enjoyed this a lot. I was excited for this match, just knowing it was going to be a great match, great tag team wrestling, great tag team moves going like in and out, in and out. And that's kind of what they promised from the beginning. And I'm glad that even after like a year, they still haven't forgotten. They're delivering it every time, which is great. I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's not the main event, but like, cause they're trying to push like the tag titles as being very important, which is great. But also this was kind of randomly booked. So I could also see that. It was funny, Eric. I actually did when you said it last week about like these run-in brawls or whatever. I actually didn't notice it until you pointed it out. Now I just notice it every time. Like, oh, another run-in brawl. Like it's just, it does like you're just getting everyone on TV. You're just gonna have to sacrifice it some of the time. But I thought this was a great match. I really enjoyed it.
I don't really have much to add except for to say everybody got their stuff in, like really good work rate. It seems like a lot of tag team matches have the same cadence where for the first half of it, it's kind of slow, and then, or maybe the first quarter it's kind of slow, and then the second quarter the heels get all their stuff in and the person's in the corner, and then you have a hot tag, and then you have the finish, right?
Yeah.
And they did not do that. They went the whole time, and it was like, back and forth. It was fun. I was down with it.
I will say I thought the ending was kind of lame. I like a quick roll up and whatnot, but sometimes when they're just hitting all these crazy moves and then someone just wins with a small package, it's very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know, just like coming into AEW, one of the people or one of the two guys that I was most excited about were LAX, Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, whatever. And I'm waiting for them to actually get pushed a little. And I just think they're wildly talented and not being used to the best of their. I think when they finally leave the inner circle, whenever that may be, they'll I think kind of re-energize them. I thought it was a really good match.
It's hard, right? Because I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, someone could be like, well, they just had a 15-minute match against the Bucks.
Sure.
Right.
So it's just hard because, we've said this about a bunch of people, like, oh, they need more time or they need to get shot to the top.
There's just a 2-hour window.
I know.
They need another smaller
but
show.
That's a good problem
what they need
to have. You'd rather have.
No, absolutely. They also had match of the year with best friends in that parking lot brawl, which is a lot of fun. Like they
that
like
was awesome. Yeah.
Like they can go. Like it's just like more of. I think they're building towards this either in a circle massive breakup, because it's also weird. They like we're in the inner circle because like, oh, here's a tag team of the group. And then it's Jericho and MJF like going after the title. Yeah. So something's got to give.
Yeah. All right. So then we had Brandy and Cody's gender reveal, and it's a girl, baby. And my only note is, at least they kept this short.
I love, we're not going to have a gender reveal. Have a gender reveal. What?
Yeah. I actually did
like Cody, but like, dude, come on. Like, it's just too much. Like,
this did push.
Like his ego is a little too big.
Like, obviously, we're all happy for them. Luke, we're very happy for you. It's just like, but it's just like, this does point out the point of view of like, oh, here's the family and friends reunion like show. It's just like, oh, if you have it's just like, where's the nepotism and like all of this? Like, I know that they're very good friends, and I'm sure that they like. I'm sure Cody was the last person who's like, oh, I don't want to do that. But I'm sure like he's friends with the Young Bucks and like Tony, and was just like, no, we want to do this for you. So I get it.
The world wants to know.
It's just like when they're doing this, I'm like, oh, they're actually really doing this. And then it happened. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. And then just went on to the next thing. I'm like, oh, that was okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's too much, but whatever.
All right.
Congrats.
So FTR defeated Matt and Mike Seidel, which I agree. I did not know there was another Seidel.
I listened to Unrestricted, the AEW podcast, and Matt Seidel was just on, and he was talking about his brother Mike. So I did know, but only because of that.
They beat him in like 9 minutes with the big rig. After the match, FTR went to cut off Mike's hair, but Jurassic Express made the save and put a whooping on those FTR boys. What'd you think, Quags?
Great build from last week. The match was good, solid. didn't know that there was another Seidel. So I like that they were kind of like, this would be a huge upset. And then, it didn't happen. But the biggest thing was, I think this match really served to hype up the Jurassic Express FTR feud. And Luchasaurus has a new mask. That's cool. So yeah, I'm a fan. I think it built well on the promo that was cut last week by Jungle Boy, and then just moved everything forward.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Jurassic Express versus FTR. FTR has been my favorite team since like their NXT days. So I was super excited when they came into AEW. They've been doing exactly what they said they've been doing. And I enjoyed this match. I cracked up with like this just Seidel's brother. It was a good match. It's definitely like a push forward of like the storylines of what's going on with Jurassic Express. That's great. Which was kind of odd also. They really kind of pushed in here like before the pregnancy reveal was that you hear about like the ladder match at Revolution. It's called like the face of the Revolution. Like
yeah.
And
right.
I'm definitely, it's gonna be good. Obviously excited. So they
ladder match. You always want to see this.
It's like, so they said Scorpio Sky, Cody, and Penta, and the 3 other dudes. But I guess it's weird that they pushed it here to like announce it, because the winner gets a TNT title shot. And this is literally coming after a week of like, here's Joey Janela, you get your title shot. And now like, all right, like
then you gotta like sacrifice your body. You're gonna get flung off with a Canadian destroyer through another ladder.
Like, just wait a week to announce this. Like, it's just like, I feel like if you announce like a 6-person ladder match, like people are going to be excited genuinely. You don't need a giant like 5-week build for that. Like, you kind of get that on to get a good match, and then guys going
AEW absolutely does just kind of casually be like, oh, by the way, we're having this blah 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 crazy match.
Yeah, it's just like,
it's like, what the fuck?
I'm happy about their gender reveal, but then they're just like kind of just mumbling under their breath like, oh yeah, about that 6-person ladder match. I was like, what? It's like, I'm trying to watch this match and they're trying to say this stuff.
To me, it felt like it's almost like some of the other stuff that they do where you're like, am I missing something? Am I supposed to know?
There's so
about
much
this?
like BTE/dark/ stuff that they think you already know. It's like, dude, you gotta treat us like we're really, really dumb.
Well, they started announcing this whole card, and I was like, oh yeah, like there's a pay-per-view coming up, and being like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna have a ladder match. Yeah.
But I mean,
right. There needs to be more filling in the meantime.
Tony Khan has gotten like flacked for that or whatever, as in like he says he made the mistake, and he even admits it too, which is great, is that he'll build this like story, and he realizes that most of the story was told on like Dark on this YouTube show.
Yeah. And
then like on this pay-per-view, they're like trying to tell this like intense story, and everyone's like not kind of sold on it. And they're like, hey, you didn't really give this much time. And they're like, yeah, we didn't, I didn't allocate so much that not everyone from the national television show watches the YouTube show. And I'm like, well,
but dude, then they also do like road to like blah blah blah, and they have like really good vignettes and promos. And it's like,
I enjoy all of them.
Doing this character development stuff on the actual show. Like, I think they discount the fact that people want to know,
because they got to get their stuff in.
Yeah, it's
or get TNT to give you 30 minutes before or after. Like, there's no way that they can't cut Central Intelligence, which was on before AEW. Like, they can't move it up.
I don't even think you should be obligated to watch something else. I think in your flagship show, you should be like, okay, we need to put in everything we think is the best. I guess they don't think these like character pieces and stuff showing why people want to win, who people are is important. And I think it's vital to why you care about the actual match.
There should be like a good amount of continuity of like, if someone just watches the show, like I get it, we all watch like all the other stuff. And like, but I would like to think those are add-ons, as in like, it makes me appreciate the show more. I shouldn't be punished for like, oh shit, like I didn't watch that Dark episode, or I didn't watch that build up. And I'm like, what am I missing here? So that's what I kind of felt like with the ladder match. But other than that, FTR was great.
I'm pumped about the Jurassic Express FTR match. They cut the Luchasaurus's horns off, and then he comes back with a new mask, and that's it. Like, they didn't, like, I don't know. I thought that was corny to begin with, and they were like,
that's why he has a new mask. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought he just got
the beginning of why they showed
they made a big deal about it. That being
Okay.
said, I like the teasing that whenever they do the cutting someone's hair for whatever reason. Like, I mean, that's like a Mexican lucha libre tradition, but I
Yeah,
love that.
but Eric,
Super
like,
disrespectful.
do we really need to save Matt Seidel's brother's hair? Like, you could, like, they like just
Yeah,
saved
someone
him.
we have no connection to.
I'm like, just
Yeah,
cut
I
his
was like,
hair.
cool. They're cutting
Yeah.
his
I'm like,
hair,
it
yeah.
would be more of a heel heat
Saving
thing to
him a
do.
fucking visit to Super.
Like, I understand, don't cut Jungle Boy's hair, don't cut their guy's hair, but you're telling me Matt Seidel's brother, like, no, we gotta protect that guy. I'm like, this guy's just coming in randomly.
All right.
Oh boy.
So then we had John Moxley cut a promo about the main event, and then Moxley, Archer, and Phoenix beat Kingston Butcher Blade about 12 minutes when Moxley hit a paradigm shift. I'll just say I thought it was a solid match, and I all of a sudden I think Archer's looking like a beast again. I thought Phoenix is phenomenal, but these past few weeks, everything he hits with all like his arsenal of crazy moves, every once in a while you're going to botch one or one's not going to look that great. He just is hitting everything perfect. And
Yeah.
he just looks like a beast. I wish they would do some type of character piece on him and then maybe not try to push him as a champion, but maybe maybe as the TNT title champion or do some type of thing, because I think he's just like wildly talented. What do you think, Quags?
Yeah. So first of all, the Moxley promo is my long-awaited rebuttal to Jericho's promo from the beginning, where it was clear. He said, "We're doing this. Like, it's concise." Moxley needs to like clean this stuff up. I know his thing is he's rough, but the same problem last week. Like, I just didn't get like, okay, so what's the point here? And he's just like, yeah, Eddie Kingston wants to settle family business. Well, okay, I guess it'll be family business then. It's kind of like, what? So yeah, I thought that was weird. The match was awesome. Yeah, I just have Ray Phoenix. Incredible, just the stuff that he does. And I was watching highlights again today, and I felt like I didn't even see half of the stuff that he did, just because all of it is so amazing.
That move where the guy's in the corner and he runs and he steps on the rope and does like a spinning kick.
Yes,
he just absolutely nailed in this one. It looks so good when he hits it crisp.
Yeah. I thought, just to finish up, at the beginning of this match, I was like, oh, they're running back like last week's, and I was kind of getting annoyed. But they cut it back. It became more of like a match. Like, obviously it was insane, like 6-man tag, but it was solid. I enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Loved the ending. I don't know if you kept that separate.
Yeah, we'll chat. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. I thought the actual match ended kind of suddenly, but that was fine. Like, it was good.
Yeah, you hit no worries. You hit everything on the point. I was going to say the same thing. So you kind of just to kind of fast forward. I think, Eric, what you said, like just the details. This one detail I actually really enjoyed from the match that kind of stood out for me was when the kind of dust settled and it was just Kingston on one corner and Moxley on the other corner, and they're waiting for their tag and they're just staring at each other. I really enjoyed that. I was like, that's pretty cool, going through what they just went through, and they like were just knowing that they were just going to tear each other's head off. So then they just tagged and they just started going at it. It's like that type of stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like really fun to watch and everything like that. But yeah, that ending promo was that was something.
Well, I will say real quick, John Moxley also had like a dark match, and he just straight up, like put someone in a guillotine choke and picked them up. That. Yeah. And then just choked them out, and the ref said like it's over, and then he just dropped them and the body went limp, which I was like, that's phenomenal. Do more stuff like that where it was like almost like MMA type of like that's what actually happens. Sometimes you get caught in something and you go to sleep. And then like sometimes like the Hulk Hogan-esque like
how much would you put up to see, how much would you Venmo Tony Khan to see John Moxley do the rope bounce from the Dean Ambrose era?
When
he goes in between the two ropes.
Dude, no, I'm not even good old slingshot. I didn't really I wasn't that big of a Dean Ambrose fan, but I love that move.
Dude, it was great.
Certain moves, for whatever reason, I'm like Matt Hardy's side effect. I always love
it's almost
moves where
you need a good old signature move.
The rope bounce is like.
But why doesn't he do that?
It's like to me, it's like a rock bottom or something, he did
it a little too much. Too much, I will say.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, where you're like, okay, this is like a little suspension of disbelief, but at the same time, I dig it. Like it's fun to see.
Exactly.
Or not a rock bottom, but the people's elbow. That's what I
His elbow. We're
Sorry.
like, why does this elbow hurt so much?
Yeah, and it's like you can
just
see
does.
he's clearly not hitting them. Like he's clearly not hitting them. All right, so
fun.
So then after the match, we had the Good Brothers and Omega attacked Moxley in what I thought it was a great looking beatdown. Omega reveals that Moxley has a rematch clause, which is a thing, so it's very normal, which I enjoyed. Again, they just acknowledged like everyone has a rematch clause. Omega chews the stipulation, and baby, we're talking exploding barbed wire death match. I'll
so
go
I
real
went
quick. Wait. No, you start, Clives. You start.
I went Googling because, okay, I'll admit, last night by the end of the show, I was like, that's funny. I don't know, like whatever. I think he just made it up. Like I didn't think it was like a real thing. So then when you, because Sharp is on the West Coast, so he watches it 3 hours later than Chris and I, right? So I just get a text at like 1 a.m. or whatever, exploding barbed wire death match! And so this morning I was like, oh, is this a real thing? And I started Googling, and the pictures you find are just amazing. Japanese man.
I think Terry Funk and Mick Foley had one. Yeah, the classic Japanese stipulation.
Amazing. I'm hyped for it.
So you like the beatdown and everything?
I like the beatdown. Yeah, I mean, like they're heels, but they're buddy heels, and they have a reason for doing it. Like I buy that Kenny thinks that he's way better than everybody else, and kind of like doesn't like John Moxley actually, and he's like, oh yeah, you put your little rematch clause in the contract. Well, that's fine. Yeah. That was great. Into it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, like, and also AEW, if you haven't noticed, like, anytime they have a big time feud or whatever, they never do rematches, which is like everyone's been praising for that, because that was like the problem, like originally before AEW started, was like, oh, okay, we see one feud, and then like, all right, let's shove it down our throats 4 more times, and then we'll regurgitate it. So it was nice. I'm like, okay, it's a little refresher getting a rematch. I actually purposely didn't look up what an exploding barbed wire death match was, because I was more excited to hear from you guys of like what it actually is, and then I was going to do some research on it. But I was just like, man, that's really over the top. But again, like, not to sound like the biggest AEW homer, but like anytime they come up with like, what was it, Mimosa Mayhem match, or like some sort of gimmick match, they tend to deliver. So I'm wondering, like, wow, this is really over the top.
Even though they're like, it's sports-based content.
Yeah, it's like sports-based
content. You gotta dunk someone in some fucking mimosas.
But it made sense
the
though, like
that Mary brawl.
So like I get like it makes sense, because they had like the beginning of this whole feud was their unsanctioned match, right, where they went like balls to the walls.
That's what I was thinking, like, they've already had like a wild match where they did like barbed wire and stuff.
Dude, nothing exploded. You don't have no idea what's gonna happen. But I mean, like, it's really over the top, but they have proved that they're ridiculous, like Stadium Stampede. Like, you literally have they mix up, like, it's just 2 football teams who are wrestlers are just going at it, and it's just like a whirlwind of just ridiculous but just fun. So I'm assuming that if it's really over the top, they are planning for something like this.
So I'll definitely say I was super pumped, because I don't know if it's the right thing to do to have this type of match, but I love seeing like crazy brawls every once in a while. But I will say, like we talked about, they have a 6-man ladder match. They have Sting versus Darby in a street fight, and this, where I'm like, that might be like overdoing like stipulation matches.
Yeah.
That being said, I really like Moxley as a character, as a promo. I think he's charismatic. I don't really love watching him in just like a straight up normal one-on-one match, although he did great stuff in New Japan. So I have no problem like putting him in a hardcore match. I'm like, whatever, I'll probably enjoy that more than a normal match. I will say I didn't get why Kenny Omega would want this. He's more of like a classical wrestler. Not classical, but like he's more of like an in-ring wrestler than Moxley. So why would he want to go into Moxley's world? It doesn't really make sense.
It's like to get rid of him.
Like, I think that, and I think if it's kind of going to be presented, I would guess as a Japanese stipulation, and Kenny, he knows how to wrestle in Japan, like, that's not really part, even though Moxley spent time over there, that's not really part of his thing. And Kenny is just like driven to, like, he's so pissed about Moxley that he's like, how can I get rid of this guy?
I gotta take it to this extent.
Yeah, I mean, that maybe I'm like doing them a big favor by writing that.
Also, some of these matches in the past, they've done like rinky dink explosions where it's like kind of like, oh, that's it. And like, I'm kind of interested to see. I'm very much interested to see, just production wise, what the hell happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit, like, the Mimosa match, I thought that was great, but I also thought that it would be all around the ring. Like, there would be not just one giant tub. Like,
we'll see,
you know
that
what I mean?
one, like this makes me so much more interested because it's like more brutal. That was just like, you're going to get dunked in mimosas, where it's like, whatever. That's not, it's like, Jericho did his best to like flop around and make it seem like it was like,
it's like, oh, he's so embarrassed.
Sticky and embarrassed. It's like, just get out of the fucking thing.
Yeah, clearly this is on a different plane, but to your point about sometimes it can be a little bit underwhelming, but my guess would be they're gonna really try and build this up, special effects wise.
Yeah, I think he hit everything like on point of like, especially like he wants to get rid of him, but like you said, he's Japanese style. So I'm like, oh, I haven't even thought about that, but actually makes a lot of sense. It's also like the little subtle things too that I think they do well throughout the show. Like Young Bucks were getting attacked earlier in the show, and then they were lazy coming out. Good Brothers came out later, and Kenny Omega didn't come out. And now, just to beat John Moxley, all three of them come out and just wanted to beat him down and stuff. So it's like, it's good having that continued story of like, okay, he's like still continuing pushing the envelope of being a jerk and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think they kind of also accomplished what they wanted. I think they have us talking about it. Like, I don't think, like, when you say exploding barbed wire death match, I think it's hard to be like, oh, okay, what else is new?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about, we're going to do our Rocket and Anvil of the week, which this will be our first show. For all you viewers, our Rocket is our favorite segment, promo, match, whatever, of the week, and our Anvil is what we hated. So, Quags, you want to start us out?
Yeah, my Rocket
with your Rocket
exploding into the atmosphere. Shout out NASA, landed that robot on Mars today.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. I'm gonna give my Rocket to the women's match. That was great. I'm excited to see both of them going forward. And actually, I'm going to stay there with the Anvil and pick on the 98 pounds thing. Like, we got it. She's small. Say it once. Move on.
But Quags, dude, don't you get it? She's 98 pounds.
Less than 100. I'm waiting for JR to be like,
it's JR. And let's not beat around the bush. I love JR, and I think a lot of his criticism. I don't know if you guys heard, but he called it the WWE title at one point.
Oh yeah, someone highlighted it. Like, sucks, man. Mistakes happen.
Dude.
Yeah.
But when you say the same fucking thing every week, 98 pounds, it's like, we get it, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we get it. She could get chucked across the ring and probably clear the ropes. We understand.
All right, Chris, what's your Anvil and what's your Rocket of the night?
Anvil, even though Orange Cassidy is like one of my favorite guys, I would have to say Cassidy versus Luther. Not about like the match quality, like good for Cassidy for squashing him, but just like, why is kind of like Luther there in the first place? And what also kind of bothered me is like they threw so much in, like with Chuck like interfering. It was just like random. Like, why is everyone like doing this? And then they did even further, like Miro wasn't there, and that was the whole point. I thought they were gonna push this feud a little bit. Kip Sabian wasn't there. I'm like, I kind of wished like they came in, like they had so many run-ins, like, but no, we need Luther and Serpentico to create something with Orange Cassidy. That was my Anvil. The Rock of the Night, I would have to say, is Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. Match is just super fun to watch. It was great, and I think it was great that they furthered the storyline with Jericho and MJF. I like how they put their submission holds and they're both tapping. And like, even though we're joking around like the family thing, I actually kind of like they made it personal with that father buck or whatever. He pushed him or something like that. It makes it like it's just like MJF's stick is everyone's just like, oh, he's such a jerk, but he just like that's it. That's his like gimmick is like he's an old school heel. So like with Jericho, they're gonna do old school heel type thing. So I kind of enjoy that.
All right. My Rocket is actually the Sting beatdown. I like that he finally got physical and that he got his ass whooped. I think it was the biggest like what the fuck moment of the night, seeing him get power bombed. My Anvil was a tie between the gender reveal and the Shaq and Jade Cargill casually playing at the local YMCA, shooting the freaking, which was bizarre.
Training for wrestling by shooting free throws.
Yeah,
yeah.
What? You know you're both good at basketball.
Oh man,
it wasn't even like they weren't even like throwing dunks down. They were just doing like hook shots and bank shots. And all right, so real quick, 1 to 10. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I would definitely give it an 8. I didn't think they were going to accomplish. I gave like last week's show like 8.5, and they hyped up a lot of things. So I was kind of like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do for a down show. Turned out not to be a down show. Definitely an 8.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show too.
Yep, I agree. I agree with an 8. That's what I was going to say. Not just
solid 8, baby.
8's all around. Let's go.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Kicked Out at 2 Dynamite review. Adios.